All right, everyone, so we can go ahead and get started. Hello, I see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new ones as well. I haven't met you yet. My name is Valerie Caña. I'm a senior designer. I work in the fintech industry at a company called PSign down in Henderson. And I've been hosting the Las Vegas UX UI Meetup for a little while. I think it's been like a little over a year, I think, like from May 2023. But I'm always excited to be talking about user experience design. I've been doing this kind of work. I started as a graphic designer almost 10 years ago, and then have transitioned to product in the past few years. So it's just something I'm really excited about, and really thank you all for coming. If you want to join our LinkedIn group, there's a QR code here. Just to get any other announcements or collaborate with one another, but I'll be bringing up this QR code again later. So today, I already did the introduction. Today is a little bit special because we're going to do a hypothetical hackathon. We're doing this in collaboration with the Programmers Meetup that's led by Gabriel over here. When we're here, we put our design hats on and we become designers, regardless of whatever your background is. But I'm assuming that everyone here is really interested in working on design skill sets and product thinking. So we're going to do a hackathon. We'll work together in some small groups, and then those ideas and sketches that we'll have at the end of this session, we'll actually bring it over to the Programmers Meetup. And the programmers will use that as ideas for something that, they may build hypothetically, but if they're very interested in it, they may actually build it later on. So a quick show of hands, who is staying after this session and who is going to the Programmers Meetup? It's okay if you're not, but I'm just curious if you are. Okay. Yes, I guess that's true. Maybe, yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. You guys have to decide.
That's totally fine. I mean, even if you don't go, I encourage you to join our LinkedIn group because I'll be asking for feedback from those designs and ideas. And then if you're interested in getting that feedback, then I can send that to you or post it in the group. I've already introduced myself, but I also want to introduce our other organizers at the Vegas UX UI Meetup. We have one here, JB or Genesis. He's an incredible UX architect who has been in the group for the past several years. Abigail, she is at the LinkedIn Growth Meetup right now. And I'm so sorry, I do need to change her last name because she did get married recently. We also have another amazing designer that works at Edward Jones and is an AI enthusiast, John Balboa, and we tend to switch off sessions or just meet up with each other to organize these meetups. So always like to give a nice shout out to them. Okay, so now we're going to enter the hypothetical hackathon. Raise of hands, who has ever done a hackathon before? Okay, yeah, a couple of us. Raise of hands, I guess professional-wise, who is a designer? I'm just curious. And then who is a developer? Developers, marketing and business people out here. Okay. And then I think I noticed you didn't raise your hand, so please tell me what your background is.
I do have a little bit of background in design, but never professional. Just in school. I did have a job for a little bit doing custom t-shirts, but
Oh no, that's super cool. Awesome. And what about yourself?
Oh, she's a company.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you for coming so much. Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask just to get an idea of everyone's background. But like I said, we're all going to put our design thinking hats on, and we are going to get into groups of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll get into groups of 3, and then one group will have 2 or 4. So please, yes, go stand up, meet each other, and decide who you would like to meet up with. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you guys decide? Okay, great. Just out of curiosity, we'll just go like around the room and then tell the rest of the group what your decided problem is. Okay.
You? Yeah? No? Me?
If you want to, Rob, you can. Otherwise, I'm happy to give it a shot.
Our problem is around dating apps, and there's like it's sort of like two parts of a problem. One of them is searching for people outside of a geographical range, right? Like, and some of the apps have a solution for this already. You can go on a travel mode or whatever and like look in another place. But for someone that maybe is open to relocating, or maybe they live in multiple places, like the ability to check in multiple areas is one, and then being able to add more data points to your selection, so that way you get less noise. Because as of right now, there's a lot of results surface that maybe aren't accurate to what you're looking for, especially if you're going to add another geographical region to it. And the third little solution here in the additional data points is the ability to confirm or deny somebody's lies. Basically, when somebody talks themselves up or says, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in that, I'm interested in the other thing, it's like, well, you may have an interest in it, or you may be putting it there because you think somebody will like you more if you have that interest, but like you don't actually practice it in any part of your life. Like, that's cool that you're interested in it, but you don't ever talk about it, you don't actually do it. So like somebody could, a little prompt could come up and say, oh, like you met this person, that's cool, like, was this true? Was this true? Was this true? Yes, no. And then over time, it will help surface the results for other people in the areas that they actually want.
Okay.
So problem and solution?
Yes. Okay. So what I heard is, problem with dating apps, geographical location, and then identification, or verifying people's identities and interests, mostly.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. I'm very glad I'm over that part of my life. Thank you for sharing. Okay, this group? Are you sure? No, I'm going to force you to do it.
Okay, so after discussing what we're thinking of doing is focusing on, I'm just going to read off your paper, transition. I guess this is an ops problem. Transition of like either you get laid off or you feel burnt out, and the another thing is like if you're done with a project, how do you transition to something else? Because one of the biggest issues I've seen in the tech career ecosystem is when people synthetically create debt in order to sustain their job. And that perpetuates, I guess, wasted capital, and at the same time, it starts to inflate like socioeconomic systems and stuff like that. So, it's like a trickle over a massive other problem that the tech industry doesn't really talk about.
Oh, so technical debt then?
Tech debt, design debt,
just debts and systems.
Yeah, and even though it's generally a good thing, ecosystem-wise and socioeconomics-wise, it's a bad thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, not accounting for all hours, time, money put into projects that just, go unaccounted for. Very interesting. I hope I didn't waste a lot of money in my life, but great, thank you. All right, this group?
Yeah, I could do it. So the problem that we want to tackle with no solution yet is that when someone doesn't respond after a night out, what do you do? So that could be your sister or your daughter or your son or someone you're seeing. And, when you see them and they say goodbye, you don't know when they got home unless they text you. But if they don't, they could have just passed out, which is very normal. Or they could have not. And in either case, the same result happens, which is you don't hear back from them. So what do you do? Do you go down there, and then if they're perfectly fine, you wasted an hour and a half of your life? Or do you call the cops and launch a full investigation on someone that could be perfectly fine? Or do you call their friend and then they call them? So it's the same thing. And so you want to find a solution to that very commonplace problem.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So checking in on a friend's safety, is that what it says?
Yes.
Somebody says, call me when you get home, but then
And then they just don't?
do I worry?
Exactly, yeah. We all say, I'll text when I get home, and then maybe we actually don't.
And
and then
don't call back, and then they see that I didn't call them even though they didn't text me, am I an asshole now?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Thank you for sharing, yes. All right, and last group.
So originally, he and I were going to say dating app as well, because he and I are actually in real life collaborating on something like that, because I had already done my own kind of dating app. I'm a developer, but I also have experience with, doing requirements for developing an app and all of that. So, but we thought that would be too complicated maybe for this exercise right here, because there's a lot that goes into an app. And so to keep it simple, we just said, okay, we live in Vegas. A lot of people come to Vegas for conferences and different purposes. Some come by themselves, and maybe while they're here, they want to hook up with other people to just maybe go out to dinner, go to like happy hour. So we thought we'd just have a simple app that would basically give you like a pull down pick list to say, what do I want to do? First, the date. Okay, I want to go to happy hour. And then they would plug in the information. Then on the second screen, it would pull up a list of maybe restaurants that are offering happy hour or dinner specials or something. And then you could meet up with other people that are in Vegas that might want to go out and do something, but they don't know anybody in Vegas. And so why not? So that's what we do.
Happy hour and dating app. Yeah, that's really nice.
It's a happy hour event app, so that there's certain other events like you can go see and do. So like if someone's having a particular show or something, you can look it up on this app and show it. Because it's just simply like a look-up app.
But it's really just to bring people together that are here, and while they just want to do something fun.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing. Thank you all for sharing all of your problems. So now we'll go into brainstorming solutions. So I understand like some groups like kind of moved into some solutions already, but this is your chance. Let's just take like the next 8 minutes to just brainstorm more, like go out of the box of what you're already thinking. Maybe there's other things that you've missed, or from the perspective of your teammates, like maybe there's more that you can add, or more things to consider. And so everyone needs to brainstorm like a couple, 1-2 solutions, its value add, and then we'll just do another round of voting. So the result would be every group is working on one problem and a singular solution. Okay, anyone have questions? All right, cool. Let's do the timer for another 8 minutes. Okay, so that was the end of 8 minutes, actually 9 minutes. So hopefully we've all talked about some solutions, voted on one, maybe voted on 1 or 2. It's okay, you can sort it out in the next session. But now, step 4 is creating a user flow. And here I say collaborate and design a main loop user flow. And what I mean by that is just ignore things like sign in or settings and stuff like that, but go into what a user should be doing in the solution step by step. And you can do that in a number of ways. You could just list it off 1, 2, 3. If you know more about user flows, you could do a diagram. But any way that whatever you think will satisfy this step, go ahead and do. I just also wanted to give an FYI of, I understand again, everybody comes from a lot of different backgrounds, but just because you don't, I purposely didn't lecture about wireframing or sketching or user flows because you know more than what you think you know. And I'm curious because all of these are just prescribed methods of user experience, but maybe there's more things that we're missing, and I'm just curious to see what you all come up with. So yes, does anyone have any questions? All right, let's work for another 8 minutes, and then we'll present to the rest of the group. All right, cool. All right, so you guys should be done with your user flows or steps at this moment, I hope. Okay, and so the next step is, well, maybe I know like some groups are ahead, some groups need more time, but now you'll choose a singular screen from your solution. Like we're going to work on one user interface and go ahead and sketch that out. We'll take the next 8 minutes and then present. So does that make sense to everybody? All right, cool. So we'll just continue. All right. All right, guys. I know that's not enough time for everybody, but we are at the last 8 minutes of the session, so we'll have to present to one another. Are you guys good? What group would like to go first? Otherwise, I will volunteer you. Okay. Hold on. Let me give you the mic. And I'm also going to record. So again, like I was saying, I understand, well, if you want to go to the programmers meetup, that'd be amazing, but not a requirement. So I'll be recording your presentation briefly to share it with them. Okay. So.
Okay. Our app is a event app. You can monitor things like happy hour shows, whatever. And so our process is, first you decide whether you're a user or a vendor, and then for the users, you might select a date. It defaults to today's date, and then you see a display map, which I'll show you in just a second because we made that diagram, and then you can get a list view if you want, and then you can get driving directions. If you're a vendor, you'll enter your event information, and then you'll press and upload to the database so they can include it so people can see your show and event. Here is our sample screen. So you have a map, you're using your date. Yeah, I realize that on the real one you would not have a vendor button, but we need to do it for purposes of just explaining the problem. And so you'll select, and like it would use different colors for different type of events so you can see the other events going on. And you select it, and you can then also attach that event to a list, so you go to this event, and then go to that event, and so on and so forth, which is all stuff readily available.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We'll just clap for this group. Thank you very much. Before I move on, does anyone have anything they'd like to add or just say to their solution? If not, all good. We can move on. Okay, no, all good. All right, I'll go to you guys now.
Yep.
Okay. Nice, good timing.
So the problem we're trying to solve here of the many is just verifying accuracy in somebody's dating profile. So to do this, we are adding a little feedback button. So after you've interacted with somebody, matched with somebody, chatted with somebody, whatever, there'll be a little feedback button that pops up. You kind of see here, like this is an inbox with messages and people's faces. If you're lucky, you have more or less, whatever. But there'll just be this little button, and it will be really, easy, where like a thing will pop up and just say, hey, this person said they were interested in motorcycles. Like, can you verify whether this was? And you can say like yes, no, or like didn't come up. Like can't verify, whatever. And so it's pretty benign for the most part. And you can add additional feedback. Like you could send a rant in here if you wanted to and tell about the terrible or great time you had. But I think probably we won't keep that information. Well, that's just for catharsis, so someone can rant if they want to. But what it allow us to do is just collect that data on whether or not those interests are accurate. And then we could, we'd have to go back and forth on this, but surface it in, and you can kind of see I've made a little profile side here where it shows their interests. There are little bubbles here that represent interests. And one of them sort of has like a little notation, like it has a slash through it, or maybe it's grayed out or something like that, and that just denotes that like, hey, like this person says they're interested in this, but we've had some user feedback enough to show that maybe that's not accurate. And so that way, like, the more data you get, the more accurate you can be. But that's just a step in that direction using the feedback button.
Cool. Thank you. Really mic drop. Okay, awesome. Thanks.
We have a question.
Oh, yes.
That's really great. So that's almost like the LinkedIn feature where someone can, like an old boss they use this program or not? Do they speak this language or not? Then what happens if someone's being malicious and they're like, oh, I'm just going to call them a liar on all of this? Can someone contest it?
Yes.
Sorry,
So the open feedback section is not going to be, it's not going to be like browsable reviews. It's not like you're going to be like, wow, like you can really like throw on somebody's profile what a shit date they were. It's not going to be like that. I think like the open feedback is going to be sort of catharsis for the user, and I don't know if that is going to go anywhere. It's like, oh, you can send in feedback, but like nobody's going to do anything about that.
Is it limited just to the people that interacted with them, like in dating app, like not just like a friend of a friend, like vet them in passing?
Sure. And you could surface it however you want. And like it shouldn't negatively impact anyone's profile. Like the main thing that's going to be collected, right, is like if they're interested in motorcycles or not, and some like somebody, you know, because you're going to hit feedback and it's just going to ask you one or two things about their profile to verify whether it was true or not. And that's a sort of thing that'll surface like, oh, like some of this may not be accurate. And then, yeah, like if that pops up on yours, right, there'll be a contest button. You could go into your settings and be like, like I looked at my thing and like this thing's crossed out now, but like literally here's a picture of me on my motorcycle, like I'm a motorcycle person. And so that way you can get it fixed. Because there's always that issue, right, like wrong feedback.
Gotcha. Right. Nice. Mic flip. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Sure got a card?
Yes.
Did you see this mock-up thing?
I will also take a picture of your mock-ups.
Okay, great. So I just named this right now, I call this the work between gaps confessionals. So the overall idea is that this works very much to, if anyone's familiar with FigJam, it's just a large board where you can put up diagrams, sticky notes, whichever. But I'm leveraging the sticky notes angle of things, and the idea behind it is people get to share their kind of like confessional stories about their frustrations, lack of direction, anything at work. And at the same time, if you ever zoom in on any of these placed sticky notes, you could have the full story, the short story, the confessional, but also have a CTA if people want to be reached out to for support. And the idea also here is that aside from just having a bunch of sticky notes on here, you could also organize it by card sort. So whatever topic you want to rearrange these things, you could also have it on a timeline. So certain periods of time will have certain numbers of sticky notes. And the idea is that this would be a launch point for later development of other features, like either if you want to have mentorship or other community support options. But for now, the main focus is to have a bunch of places where people can confess things of their struggles in between jobs or in between projects. Even have a search function on here. And yeah, no, that's the basic idea. Is there anything else, Dennis? No, I think we're good. Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. All right, and last group. Sorry, I know you have no time, but it's okay.
We can do half and half, Kimmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So the way it starts, I'm just going to start with the user flow. You download the app, and you can put in your fingerprints, and you can opt in to other institutions checking on your fingerprints, as in a hospital checking your fingerprint while you're unconscious, or a jail checking your fingerprint besides the normal check-in process. So then your information's in, and the app knows whether or not you're in a hospital, a jail, or in a mortuary, worst case scenario. And then something like what Kimmy has shows up.
So basically, if they've opted in, like there's the person who wants to be safe, and then there's the friends that are concerned about the friend to stay safe. So we had an idea that the emergency contact of the friend in question should be the last case scenario to be contacted. So one of the wireframes would be the concerned friend scenario hasn't heard from their friend in 12 hours or so, and checks and the app shows, okay, look, we've the person who trusts their friends gave them like a code, and there's a background database of all the hospital entries and all of that. And so this would pull the information, and the Concerned Friends app screen shows, look, actually good news, there's no record of a hospital entry, jail entry, or mortuary entry of your friend. But the bad news is their Apple Watch information that's also going to be shared, it's like opted in, they're going to share the information. Their pulse is low, their oxygen's low, and their location is abnormal. So the next step would be, would you like to send an alert to the emergency contact to reach out to this friend? And then the friend in question, their phone is like, your friends are looking for you. Your emergency contact will be contacted. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Awesome. All right. Amazing solutions, everyone. I really appreciate it. I know it's like, that was very quick. And there's like much more to explore in all of your ideas, and they're very interesting. So I'm really curious to bring this over to the developers and hear what they have to say. In a follow-up workshop, we'll be talking about like developer and designer collaboration. So this is all really great information that we collected in today's session. Also, in the future, we are planning on making an actual like long, full day hackathon. So this also helps us with testing some ideas. But yeah, I really appreciate all of your guys' time. Hope to see you all like next month, or potentially another Friends of Figma Las Vegas chapter event in the future. But I'm going to be starting to do online workshops. Those will be like more Figma, like sketching and wireframe, because there's no internet here, so I'd rather do it virtually. When you come here at Tech Alley, these will be more workshops, lectures, and like group discussion based. So thank you all for coming to the very first UX meetup of the year, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks. And then also I'll take your papers, or I'll take a picture of your papers.